Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I saw a gentleman with a dapper suit there. I thought it was an investment banker. Timmy Silva, Minister of State, you are welcome. Tapper, please come right in.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I think my role is just to talk about how this place was, how it came about. At the beginning, the COVID-19 was a Chinese problem and later became an American problem on March 15th. Since then, it has become a global problem. In the second week in March, I was on my way back after, for those who do not know, we provide 1 out of every 5 Nigerians with electricity. So looking and working on, everyone went to Germany to try and resolve the Siemens issue. Coming back, I was isolated and I was kept in quarantine. For the men here who are married, I guess we all know what isolation means. The day you get married, you get isolated. But then we all learned the new word, quarantine. Quarantine simply means you're kept in a place and you're in contact with anybody. In that period, you learn what humanity is. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're all seated here to celebrate humanity. First of all, I want to acknowledge all those Nigerians who gathered together in this period to feed the less privileged. Please give them a big round of applause. Because we saw real humanity in Nigerians. For those of you who called your cousins, even if it was 1,000 naira, 500 naira, we thank you very much. Because these gave sanity and brought back love and kindness, which Nigerians sometimes think we don't have. Ladies and gentlemen, in 1985, I was a student in University of Lagos. I was in my first year and we had a show. We were bringing in Fela Anikulapo Kuti. I had no idea what media was all about. But then we were told if we were going to do this, we needed to publicize it. I went to a company then called This News, and it was called This Week. I walked in and there was a gentleman there who just described someone else as dapper suit, wearing a dapper suit. And I said to him, I'm a student, first year, University of Lagos. We cannot publicize this because we do not have money. This gentleman said to me, go and see, he had a colleague there called Arnold Ekpe. See Arnold, we will give you all the publicity. Ladies and gentlemen, that gentleman was Nduka Obaigbena. And ever since then, I don't just call him my godfather, I call him my big brother, and we're all family. When we made the phone call to say we needed to use this place, Nduka said, why didn't you call me earlier? I've been waiting for this call. Ladies and gentlemen, please let us thank the chairman of this day, Nduka, because like the FCT minister confirmed, there are a lot of places we went. Some of them refused us. Some of them looked at COVID-19 as something that would destroy their businesses. But Nduka said, it doesn't matter. This is for humanity. Today, we celebrate humanity. I also want to thank the FCT minister who made this possible, because everywhere we march together looking for where we will put something. In the past, anytime the FCT minister called me, I would be scared, because the other major calls I got from him was, Tokwe, you have this tank somewhere, we have to demolish it, sorry. And when he says it in such a nice way that you cannot fight. So we always called him the man who delivered the bad messages in a nice way. But FCT minister, we thank you, we celebrate you. As time went along, we got to meet those that mattered, because for us it was just an effort. I want to thank the Minister of Health. I want to thank his team, the NCDC. I want to thank my own partners, NMPC, who funded this and financed this. I want to thank the CBN governor who kept on saying, whatever you guys need, we're behind you. I want to thank everybody here, but then I would pick specific people, because if I don't even mention the SGF, I'm wrong. We had goods delivered to Lagos. You know what the SGF said? Tokwe, if we have to go and carry it, we'll carry it. He gave us a plane to go and pick it. SGF, thank you very much. I also want to thank my ministers of Internal Affairs and Information who visited here and made sure they were here to critique every time. I also want to thank my director of COVID, who we had so many lunches and dinners together with the last person we stood up to honor, and may his soul rest in peace in London. Thank you for the job well done. For all of us here, we will not be here without the health ministry, and even my Minister of State of Health, who every time we usually compete with who is going to wear the best suit. But every time he only wears them when he travels abroad. And I've told him more often than any, he should stop wearing his native attire and look the guy he is. Ladies and gentlemen, I also acknowledge my Minister of State of Education, who I have not seen for over 30 years, and I'm happy today we celebrate this together. Well, he does his hand like this. The Minister of State for FCT, yesterday we launched the center with CCEC, because I'm also a member of the Ministerial Committee for COVID in Abuja. And every time the minister said, we need more places, she nodded her head. I am happy, Hajia, Doctor, to say we have delivered this place today. Now, this is not about us just sitting down and saying this person, that person. I also want to thank individuals who put in their efforts. In this day, we had a young girl who was running up and about here. She was working for the chairman, Unduka, and every time she always said, sir, what can I do? She donated chairs, plastic chairs. It's not the amount, it is the spirit by which she did so. Fawzi Ali Mohammed, we thank you very much. We want to thank Dr. Madu, who coordinated all this. We want to thank all those who have made this happen. We want to thank all those who will make bigger things happen. As we serve humanity, I, on behalf of the Sahara Group, the Sahara family, would say thank you for the honor, thank you for the opportunity, thank you, my Honorable Minister Timi Silva, for allowing all of us to not go haywire, but at least to control our expense while we deliver this place. God bless Nigeria, God bless all of you, and God bless the next person who will do something bigger than this. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Tokwe. If we want a safe environment, we must recognize the Minister of Environment, Abubakar Umar. And of course, if you want to sit on your land, you must recognize Dr. Ramatu Tijani Aliyu, the power behind the minister. And of course, we have the national coordinator of the Presidential Task Force, who has been working day and night. Not many know that as he toiled and attended conferences every day, he lost his father. May his soul rest in peace. And I also like to recognize Dr. Abasi, the Nigerian microbiologist and biotechnology scientist who founded 54Gene. He has raised quite a few $1 million with people like Bill Gates investing in it, and he has built the molecular testing capacity here and is ramping up everywhere. We have the solutions in Nigeria. Let us hear him. Is one of his investors who backed him financially, private equity firm Eric Idiahi. So we have everybody here. So let us invite very quickly the managing director of CC and EC for a goodwill message. Then we can ramp up the process. Thank you very much. Do you need translation?
Your Excellency, Secretary to Government of Federal Republic of Nigeria, Honorable Minister of Health, Honorable Minister of FCT, and all Honorable Ministers, distinguished guests, Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm Michael Jiang, the MD of CCCC Nigeria. I'm honored to be here, witness the handover of this storm treatment center. As is known to all, Nigeria is under the disruption caused by the COVID pandemic. Up to now, more than 4,000 cases have been recorded. The construction of this treatment is one of the important measures implemented by the government, which should serve as a critical supplement to the nation's medical resources. I hereby, on behalf of CCCC, express my sincere congratulations to the federal government and extend my compliments to all the companies like Sahara and NPC that made great efforts to the successful completion of this treatment center. I'm honored also because CCCC is one of the companies. Upon receiving the request from the government of Nigeria on 29 March 2020, CCCC immediately mobilized a site team comprising of experienced designers, engineers, and workers, and commenced the site works without any conditions. Overcoming series of difficulties caused by the lockdown in Abuja, especially with the help of Nigerian government, we managed to procure most of our construction materials and PPEs from local market, meeting the demand of site construction and our workers. Eventually, CCCC has completed construction works within the shortest time, which including the ground reconstruction, installation of partitions, and toilet, disinfection rooms, water supply system, and etc. I'm also glad to see the completion of this treatment today. As you may know, CCCC, as a responsible contractor, we're always willing to make our own efforts to support this nation fighting against the COVID pandemic. Thank you. Thank you all of us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. ECC helped with most of the internal work, but the entire environment also, and some of the infrastructure was backed by COVID. I know. Backed by COVID. COVID is led by the SDF, but also driven by the CBN governor, who is going to speak here today, Mr. Governor of Central Bank, our privilege. Yes, please.
Thank you very much, Nduka. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Mr. Boss Mustafa, the Honorable Minister for FCT, Alhaji Mohammed Bello, the Honorable Minister of Health, Dr. Ehanire, and other very distinguished Honorable Ministers here present, the GMD of NNPC, distinguished members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I sincerely appreciate the opportunity to participate in the launch of Thisday Dome COVID-19 testing, tracing, and treatment center in our federal capital city. I'd like to commend the management of Thisday Media Group and their partners for putting together the team that set up this magnificent care center, which encompasses testing, tracing, and treatment to help in boosting Nigeria's capacity to adequately contain the spread of COVID-19 in the Federal Capital Territory and beyond. As we all are aware, since the onset of COVID-19 in December 2019, President Muhammadu Buhari's administration has taken all necessary measures to contain the spread. COVID-19 has had an unprecedented effect on the global economy, impacting all nations, big and small. Institutions like the International Monetary Fund have pronounced that the effect on the global economy will be akin to the slowdown experienced during the Great Depression of the 1930s. The global growth is expected to contract by -3% in 2020, down from a positive growth rate of 2.9% in 2019, which is effectively a contraction of 6% globally. In Nigeria, our economy is exposed to triple shocks: a supply shock, a demand shock, and revenue shock. Permit me to state that we are currently faced with a public health and economic crisis of unprecedented proportions, driven primarily by the 55% drop in crude oil prices between January and May 2020. This unparalleled shock requires that the federal and state governments, along with organized private sector, work together to address these challenges in order to preserve lives and restore economic activity and reset the economy of our dear country. In a bid to cushion the effects of COVID-19 on the Nigerian economy, the CBN has implemented several initiatives, such as the 50 billion intervention facility for small and medium enterprises, those affected by COVID-19. In addition to the 1 trillion naira facility for firms operating in the agric and manufacturing sectors. We're also working with financial institutions to enable the continuous flow of loans and credit to viable businesses, while putting in place provisions such as moratoriums and restructuring of existing loans under our interventions that are provided to businesses. These measures are intended to cushion the effects of the slowdown in economic activity on our businesses. I wish to acknowledge, however, that our ability to restore the growth of our economy is dependent on how we address the public health crisis brought on by COVID-19. It is in realization of this fact that the CBN recently launched a 100 billion naira healthcare intervention fund. Practitioners in the pharmaceutical and healthcare sectors will be able to access finance at single-digit interest rates through this fund. Our objective is to improve the capacity of our healthcare system to address emerging public health challenges. Furthermore, in order to encourage greater research and development in Nigeria of drugs and vaccines that would help prevent the spread of this virus, the Central Bank of Nigeria is developing a framework under which grants and long-term facilities will be provided to researchers, science institutions, and biotechnology firms to develop Nigerians' homegrown vaccines. Needless to state that if we wait for foreign countries to develop their own vaccines, we will be the last in the queue to receive curative remedies for our teeming population. The CBN today challenges Nigerian scientists at home and abroad, to go back to their laboratories and develop Nigerians' homegrown vaccines. Once validated by the health authorities, the CBN will step in and do the needful for the sake of our 200 million Nigerians now confronted by COVID-19. Our inability to accurately predict the extent to which coronavirus could spread and how long it will last requires that we build sufficient capacity within our healthcare system in order to contain the spread of this virus, both in all states and in all our vicinity, and preserve the lives of vulnerable Nigerians. This requires that we all come together to support the work of the Presidential Task Force in its determination to save lives and stem the pandemic. It is in this regard that I'd like to commend the Nigerian private sector who have come together, either under the auspices of Thisday Media Group or under the coalition, the CACOVID 2019, to support the government by raising funds to procure needed isolation centers, medical equipment, and etc. So far, the CACOVID has raised over 27 billion to fund these initiatives. These donations are being used to build well-equipped isolation centers across the 36 states of the Federation. The Thisday Dome Testing, Tracing, and Treatment Center, being launched today, represents a part of the support being provided by the CACOVID Alliance. These measures will result in the addition of close to 4,000 hospital beds across the country and will serve as a significant boost towards our efforts at containing the spread of COVID-19. So far, CACOVID has equipped and handed over isolation centers in Rivers, Enugu, Kwara, Ondo, and Borno states. It is expected that all other isolation centers will be handed over in other states of the country, including FCT, by latest May 23rd, 2020. In a bid to complement the efforts of the government in providing palliatives to those affected by the containment measures put in place to prevent the spread of the virus, CACOVID is also providing in-kind assistance in the form of food items to indigent Nigerians across the 36 states of the Federation. These efforts are noteworthy as members of the Nigerian private sector have stood up to be counted when it mattered most to our dear country. I'd like to once again thank members of our alliance for their commitment in meeting the needs of vulnerable Nigerians, especially at this extraordinary time. I'd like to conclude my remarks by thanking President Muhammadu Buhari, the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, ably led by the Secretary of Government of the Federation, Mr. Boss Mustafa, the Federal Ministry of Health, led by Dr. Sajay Hanire, and Senator Olawunibe Mamora, the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, and our health workers who are all in the front line, working day and night to help prevent the spread of this virus. I must also salute the work of the Minister of the FCT Administration, Malam Muhammad Musa Bello, the Minister of State Ramatu Tijani Aliyu, for effective leadership in containing COVID-19 in FCT. Your efforts are indeed commendable, and I can assure that the Central Bank of Nigeria will continue to work with you on solutions that can help our nation address this public health challenge. I thank you all for your attention. Good morning.
So may we now invite the calm but very effective law and order person, Muhammad Musa Bello.
The chairman of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, Mr. Boss Mustafa, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, and all the distinguished members of the Presidential Task Force, the Honorable Minister of Health, Dr. Sagio Hanire, and other distinguished ministers present here, the Governor of the Central Bank, the Group Managing Director of the NNPC, the Permanent Secretaries of the Federal Ministry of FCT, as well as the Ministry of Health and other Permanent Secretaries present here. Our very distinguished Chairman of the Thisday Media and Technology Group, Chief Nduka Obiagina, and my very dear friend, Mr. Tomitope Sonubi of Sahara Group, and all the other distinguished persons and personalities and individuals that have supported what we are commissioning here today. Members of the Diplomatic Corps, our Royal Father, Magajungarin Sokoto, and a very distinguished Nigerian and citizen of Abuja, Dr. Aliu Modibo Umar, a former minister of the FCT, and indeed the chairman of the FCT Ministerial Committee on COVID-19, members of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the residents of Abuja, our federal capital city, as well as the entire residents of the FCT, it's my honor, on behalf of all of them, to thank the chairman of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 and his members, as well as all those that were earlier recognized, for providing this facility, which there is no doubt will go a very long way in adding the bed spaces available within the territory for us to be able to use as treatment and isolated centers. Already with this facility, the FCT has almost reached a target of about 1,000 bed spaces. Within the FCT administration already, we have in existence 3 treatment and isolation centers, one of which was just handed over to us yesterday at Idu area of Abuja, which has a capacity of 500 beds. And all this happened because of the very good relationship and support we receive from the private sector. And on behalf of all of us in Abuja, we thank all those who have supported us and also continue to appeal for more support so that by the grace of God, give another few weeks, we'll be done with this COVID-19 thing. Once more, thank you very much, the SGF and your able team, as well as our private sector participants and supporters as indicated on the, behind me. And I thank you all. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much. You may think that there's no risk in managing COVID. The health minister of Iran had a problem, different ministers at the front line. But you have a calm and calculated minister of health who takes all the punches and he shows no emotion. May I invite Dr. Usagi Ehanire to speak to you.
The Secretary to the Government of the Federation and Chairman of the Presidential Task Force on the response to COVID-19, Mr. Boss Mustafa, the Honorable Minister of Federal Capital Territory, my brother and friend Mohamed Musa Bello, members of the Presidential Task Force, Honorable Ministers here present, the Chief Executive Officers of the organizations that I will mention, beginning with my brother and friend, Mr. Nduka Bagbena, of Thisday Technology, Thisday and Arise Technology, the Central Bank of Nigeria, NNPC, the AFC, CCECC, other members of the CACOVID group, permanent secretaries, directors, royal fathers, ladies and gentlemen. It is with both delight and relief that I am standing here today addressing this gathering of eminent stakeholders in and outside the Nigerian health sector who have demonstrated such extraordinary commitment by joining hands with government in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic in what can actually be likened to nothing less than a war. This handing over ceremony of the Thisday Treatment and Isolation Center to the Federal Ministry of Health and the Federal Capital Territory Administration is a landmark achievement in collaborations between public and private sectors to fight a common enemy and rescue our country and people from the grip of the raving coronavirus disease. The case for all hands to be on deck to tackle the worst single public health emergency of our generation has been well made. The nature of this virus makes the identification and isolation of infected persons and their contacts a public health imperative, the importance of which cannot be overemphasized, and an expedient measure in the fight against this highly infectious pathogen. It is critical for the prevention and control of the COVID-19 pandemic in Nigeria and globally. During a pandemic like the COVID-19, the high volume of casualties produced within a short time has challenged even the most established health systems in the world by occasioning embarrassing shortages of equipment, bed spaces, and treatment facilities. On global television screens, we have seen otherwise resilient health systems collapse before our eyes. Providing facilities and bed space for isolation and treatment overnight became some of the most vital measures that could be taken to support the health system in infection prevention and control. Prevention of the spread of COVID-19 from one patient to the other, or to healthcare workers and visitors, is critical in limiting the disease progression and flattening the epidemic curve. Since the first confirmed case of COVID-19 was announced on the 27th of February 2020 in Nigeria, there has been a steady surge in the number of cases and the epidemic curve to the extent that as at 11 p.m. yesterday, there were 242 new cases with 4,641 confirmed cases in total, 902 discharged, 150 fatalities recorded, unfortunately, in 34 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory. Community transmission that necessitates urgent response is already with us. It is this realization on the side of Nigeria's private sector, who took it upon themselves to rise to the occasion, that brings us at this junction to mention and appreciate the contributions of the coalition against COVID-19, and in connection with the event of today, the Sahara Energy Group and the Thisday Media and Technology Group for this donation of this day dome, a temporary treatment and isolation center. The center has not just added to the number of available beds, but saved the Nigerian health sector the anxiety of many shortages. A lot of work, and when I say a lot of work, I mean brain work and hand work, has gone into this project, a project of converting and repurposing the theater into what you can call a hospital. I know that very well because I followed the various stages of the construction. It is made up of the Sahara Foundation Works and ICU Center, complete with ventilators, X-ray machines, and dialysis. This day, 54-gene testing mobile laboratory, complete with reagents, with scalable 20, which is capable of 20 to 30 tests per day, 200 to 1,000 tests. The Thisday 98-room hotel and conference center next door for medical staff, donated for 6 months by our brother who was just mentioned a while ago. The CBN medical grant in direct support to the Federal Ministry of Health and the FCDA for day-to-day management of the isolation center, and also an industrial-grade medical incinerator. Ladies and gentlemen, as we all can now understand, this is a fully comprehensive treatment center, professionally designed and equipped and repurposed to meet the pressing demands of the day. As His Excellency the President would say, even if it turns out we don't use it, we are thankful and grateful to have it. This facility was built to the highest quality standards of infectious disease protocols by well-experienced hands. I wish to extend my profound gratitude to the chairman and members of the COVID-19 group. The chair and my colleagues at the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 are thankful for this consideration. We recognize the Chief Executive Officer of Sahara Energy Group, again, the chairman of Thisday Media and Technology, the chair of China's Civil Engineering and Construction Company, and all the distinguished partners who contributed to the success of today's event. I thank you all for your kind attention.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are almost at the high point. For those of you, I'm not sure there are many of you here, who wrote the 1999 Constitution. I was one of them in 1994-95. And one of the things we debated was the French model, having a prime minister and a president, but settled for the SDF. May I invite Maron Melekiari to invite the SDF. Thank you.
What a great privilege to invite the chairman of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19. But before I do this, it is needless to say that NNPC is a company owned by all Nigerians, 200 million Nigerians. And we have a primary responsibility to stand with this country and our citizens at any time. One of it is to ensure that we fight this COVID-19 together. And to do this with the support and the guidance of the Honorable Minister of State for Petroleum, we pulled together the entire industry to bring support to this country and this COVID-19 intervention. One of the many things we did is to bring our partners on the table. And one of our great partners is the Sahara Group, with whom we have many businesses. We have downstream businesses, and we also have upstream businesses. And we should also know that for every oil business in this country, NNPC is a partner. Partner either as a direct equity holder or even a cash contributing partner. Therefore, everything done in this industry is with the support of NNPC. It is coming from the oil and gas industry, and we're proud of it. And for this center, ladies and gentlemen, our profound happiness is that we're part of this. And we're supporting the Sahara Group and all our partners to make sure that this works. And beyond this, ladies and gentlemen, as an industry, we're delivering medical facilities, infrastructure in all states of the Federation, and particularly setting up permanent structures in at least 6 of these geopolitical zones so that these facilities can actually outlive the COVID-19 period, so that it will be of use to the communities post-COVID-19. And in FCT today, the Honorable Minister has alluded to it, the Honorable Minister of Federal Capital, that we have done great. Not just in this center, we have also upgraded one of our facilities to make sure that it can receive COVID-19 patients. We have supported the Abuja University Teaching Hospital with facilities so that it can work. We are also supporting the Honorable Minister to establish another permanent facility in these centers. So overall, Nigerians, we are doing this on your behalf. This is your company. The 200 million Nigerians are shareholders. And of course, the shareholder is represented by Mr. Boss Mustafa. May I invite Mr. Boss Mustafa to come forward? Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think that's a very big responsibility to be a representative of shareholders. Members of the Federal Executive Council, members of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, permanent secretaries here gathered, the Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, the Group Managing Director of the NNPC, the chairman and founder of Thisday group of companies, Mr. Nduka Obwegwana, the managing director of Sahara Group, Mr. Tope Shonobi, all the other partners that have worked assiduously to ensure the realization of this particular facility that we are commissioning today. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, members of the diplomatic corps, their royal highnesses, gentlemen of the press, I am delighted to be here today to commission Thisday Dome Testing, Treatment and Isolation Center. This 300-bed facility with a 54-gene laboratory is a private sector-driven initiative donated by a consortium of like-minded partners powered by the Sahara Energy Group and the Thisday Media and Technology Group. Other key players include the CACOVID, the AFC, CCECC, NNPC, and the Central Bank, and a retinue of several others. The coronavirus is the most important global public health challenge of our generation. It is ravaging our health and our wealth the world over, and Nigeria is not an exception. Between January 30th, 2020, when it was declared a pandemic, and today, the world has recorded a total of 4.2 million confirmed cases, 287,000 about fatalities, and about 1.5 million recoveries spread across 230 countries. In Africa, the statistics show that 62,000 confirmed cases, about 2,200 fatalities have been recorded across 53 countries. Nigeria recorded her first index case on 27th of February 2020, and as at May 11, 2020, total number of cases recorded stood at 4,641, with 902 discharged and 152 fatalities. The modeling projection by experts indicate that this number will continue to rise before the curve begins to flatten. The COVID-19 pandemic has brought a reawakening to both government and the private sector to collaborate in the injection of a much-needed investment into our healthcare system. The COVID-19 has totally overwhelmed even the best of health systems in the world, and that serves all developing nations a powerful notice to wake up. Today, we are witnessing the realization of the synergy with the commissioning of this facility, which is designed to accommodate 300 beds and is scalable to 500. The speed and commitment demonstrated by the partners that developed this infrastructure is a call to other private sector entities to also get involved in the development of public interest facilities. The Presidential Task Force advocates strongly that lessons to be drawn from COVID-19 should therefore revolve around development, future planning, consensus building, collaboration, and partnerships. Government cannot always do it alone. We must all be involved. I have been informed that this facility also has an intensive care unit for treatment of the most severe cases of COVID-19. This would go a long way in providing care for the growing number of cases, especially for levels 1 and 2 categories. I am also happy to note that this is one of the facilities into which care for persons living with disabilities who might get infected has been incorporated. The Presidential Task Force continues to assess and review all relevant policies and protocols so that our actions and decisions are implemented in the most effective ways and the nation can properly wage the war against COVID-19. In order to take the development of infrastructure to the grassroots, emphasis is now being placed on community ownership, guidance, acceptance, and implementation. The Presidential Task Force therefore calls on all other corporate bodies and public-spirited individuals to take up the challenge of providing critical support infrastructure in the rural communities as Nigeria has entered community transmission phase of the pandemic. Ladies and gentlemen, as we continue to develop health infrastructure, the Presidential Task Force also wishes to underscore its total commitment to research into a cure for the COVID-19 disease. We are actively encouraging all our institutes and researchers to step forward for a validation of their inventions, discoveries, etc., that can help humanity bring this pandemic to an end quickly. Again, we urge our corporate bodies to show sufficient interest in the areas of research and medicine. I wish at this point to extend the deepest appreciation of His Excellency Muhammadu Buhari, President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, to every group of persons and corporate entities that have contributed to making this center a reality, especially Mr. Tope Shonube, Managing Director, Sahara Energy Group, and Nduka Obegona of the Thisday Media and Technology Group. I also commend the Honorable Ministers of the Federal Capital Territory and the Ministry of Health for paying attention and for facilitating the delivery of this magnificent facility. Finally, I consider it important to reiterate our appeal to all Nigerians to please continuously comply with the guidelines, especially in observing physical and social distancing, regular washing of hands, wearing of masks and coverings in public, obey the rules regarding the curfew, avoid large gatherings, and if necessary, stay at home. You must take personal responsibility for your actions to stop the spread of the virus. On this note, it is now my singular honor and privilege to commission the testing, treatment, and isolation center along with the 54-gene laboratory to the glory of God and the good of humanity. May all those who come in here find healing, and may the Almighty God protect all frontline workers that will deliver care here and everywhere in the world. I thank you for listening, and may God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And I end by thanking you, sir, and your partners for this wonderful facility that you put in place. You have succeeded as a businessman, but today you have demonstrated your heart of compassion and love for mankind. And may God reward you and reward the efforts of your establishment and those of your partners. Thank you, and God bless Nigeria.
Thank you so much, Mr. SDF. People who are rushing there, there's been a program change. Because we are living in a regime of social distancing, we cannot have pressmen following and rushing with anybody to inspect anywhere. I hope you understand. So all the media guys, leave there right now. Out, 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 out. What we are going to do, those who are lucky to have a shot will share it with others who cannot. Okay? But we're not going there yet. We're going to finish this program. We're going to first go to the 54-gene laboratory. And may I invite Dr. Abasi to speak very quickly. Take 3 or 4 or 5 minutes out to the laboratory. And then we'll come back and in groups of 5. In groups of 5, now we're going to go into the medical center. Journalists, please stay out. We'll go in groups of 5. We will share the video with all of you. Thank you very much. This is a different age.
The Secretary to the Federal Government of Nigeria, the Minister for Health, who oversees my sector, and of course the sector of all Nigerians today during COVID-19 issues, all ministers and all dignitaries here present, and all protocols duly observed. My name is Dr. Abasi Anebong, and I'm the CEO of 54Gene. Last year, we believed that Nigeria could actually, not just Nigeria, but Africa could actually begin to lead in research and development in a way that perhaps we could have drugs and vaccines produced and discovered by Nigerians and African scientists. And so it was last year that I launched my company 54Gene, and in a year's period we've been able to garner the interest of the global investment community, and we've been able to raise about $20 million to further that objective. As a result of this push, we started recruiting Nigerian scientists in our laboratories in Lagos last year. And so when the COVID-19 pandemic hit, we already had very highly qualified molecular scientists, and we had a fully functioning molecular diagnostics lab. For us, it was a matter of how do we use our resources and what we have to provide some respite in Nigeria and to work with both public and other private institutions to try to improve how we tested for COVID-19 and perhaps how we get to understand the disease. I'm happy to say that today we've been able to launch molecular diagnostics labs in Lagos, Kano, Ogun State, now Abuja, and shortly in Ekiti State. And the goal of all of this, of course, is that we try to understand this disease that's ravaging all of us. And the sooner we're able to understand it, the sooner we are able to know the measures we can put in place, and then we can commend society. We are happy that the testing aspect is going on well, and we're beginning to look at how we can partner with other institutions and groups in Nigeria to conduct research that perhaps will lead us to understand how this disease affects us in Nigeria. Without much ado, I would like to take you to our lab. The reason we have a mobile diagnostics lab is because of infrastructural challenges. And so we came up with a unique solution where we can ship out labs all over the country utilizing alternative power. The labs come with a fully trained staff and ready to run COVID-19 tests. So if you will oblige me, sirs, I will lead you to the lab. Thank you.
Thank you, the SGF, the Minister of Health, and a few ministers, CBN governor. Just go to the lab. Just see the lab. Yeah. Please, no cards there. Go ahead. No, don't worry. Just to see the lab. No aids, please, eh? The aids should stay back. I'm coming. Group of five. Groups of five, please. Group of five. Group of five. Yeah. Groups of five, please. Yes, yes. You can see the lady in the PPE. She can come out. Yeah. I know. Social distancing, please. Please, a group photograph with the ministers. Facing this way. Social distancing, please. Facing that side, sir. Yes, sir. Just ministers and CBN governor. I'm coming. Social distancing, please. After that, we'll pass them. Very much. We turn right, Minister of State for Health, Minister of Palliatives, Minister of Environment, 5 of you with the SGF, please. Minister of Social Development. No crowds, please. All the media, please. No crowds. Please, 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 go back. No crowd. Okay. That's enough. Yes.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen.
Can I make a request?
And gentlemen, I hereby, on behalf of the Republic of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, commission facility for all the mankind to the glory of God.
The following guidelines announced by the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 are effective from 4th May 2020 in Abuja, Lagos, and Ogun states. For public spaces, the following are mandatory: improvised face masks, temperature checks, hand washing facilities and hand sanitizers, physical distance of at least 2 meters, no sporting activities and mass gathering. On travel, these are prohibited: passenger flights, interstate travel except essential services, movement of agro products and petroleum products. Note, there will be mandatory supervised isolation of returnees for at least 14 days. For markets and offices, neighborhood markets are to open 3 times a week from the hours of 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Banks and financial services are to open from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Government offices are open only to staff from grade level 14 to 17 between the hours of 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Corporate offices and private sector are open to business from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Schools, churches, mosques, clubs, bars and gardens remain closed till further notice. COVID-19 is real. Take responsibility and stay safe.